Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So we have some XRP news today, Bitcoin news. We have some financial crisis news. We have some more banking news. Oh, every time we cover them, it seems like something is terrible being unveiled. But what can you do? Their system is just dilapidated like that. Better for the new financial system. So anyway, let's begin here. All right. So this article here is titled XRP skyrockets 300% in crypto investment product inflows, while XRP ETF talks disappear. I wouldn't say they disappear. I just read an article today that had a whole lot of XRP ETF talk. But anyway, listen, there was a massive dip in everything. So why wouldn't people pick more up of certain things that they think is going to have great potential in the future? So I think that's just logical. It makes sense. And it's very predictable. But also, I'm going to say I expect that to fully be offset by all the selling that's going on. I don't know when selling is going to stop. I just know that as people buy the dip, there's probably for this time period going to be much more selling going on. So you'll see that volatility. It'll go up a little bit, whether it's XRP or Bitcoin, doesn't matter. It'll go up a little bit, then it'll go down. That's going to be natural. So all of this inflow is people or institutions trying to buy in low. But once again, I don't think you're going to see, like they say, the percentage skyrocketed, but I don't think you're going to see the price skyrocket necessarily, once again, because of all the selling pressure, right? But I could be wrong. I don't know what the price is doing right now, but I'm just going by how things typically go. But let's read this little article here and find out what exactly happened. It says, in the latest weekly fund flows report by CoinShares, the cryptocurrency investment landscape has witnessed a notable shift, with XRP emerging as a standout performer. Despite an overall outflow of $126 million. See, that's what I was talking about. Look how large that amount is. So even though 300,000 is better than, let's say, the week before, I think that's what they're going to say, it still is nothing in comparison to the outflow. So you're still going to see that price, that selling pressure, that downward pressure, I will believe. It says here, $126 million from digital asset investment products, XRP-focused vehicles, have bucked the trend by attracting a staggering $300,000 in inflows over the past 7 days. Yeah, I suppose you could say staggering in comparison to what was before. It says, this marks a remarkable 300% surge compared to the previous week, reflecting a significant uptick in investor sentiment towards XRP-related financial instruments. Not surprising to me at all. Once again, people make it very clear in the comment sections, hey, I'm buying the dip. Hey, I'm buying as much as I can. This is what people say all the time. I get comments from every video since the first video was put out. Isn't that crazy how YouTube does that? You just get all the comments together, right? So I see this everywhere, so that makes sense. Price went down. People are buying some, or institutions may be buying some, whoever. So you're going to see that inflow there. It says with total inflows into investment products reaching $11 million since the beginning of the year, XRP has positioned itself as a leading contender among altcoins, surpassing the likes of Solana and Cardano. All three of those are our coins, XRP, Solana, Cardano, all of them super bullish. But I will say this, it definitely tells you that there are people who I believe know what they hold. They believe in the potentiality of XRP. So they're getting more, And once again, I wouldn't be surprised if that's institutions mixed in there. But let's move on to this article here. All right. So now this article is titled, Ripple CTO ends speculation on worth of crypto holdings. I don't know why there's speculation over that, why that's interesting at all. But let's find out. Let's find out what's going on. It says Schwartz, known for his transparency. Yes, but sometimes you have to keep things private. You can keep things private. You don't have to tell people everything. And let me tell you something about, I'll say this about people in general. You should be careful what you put out there. Be very careful. You don't have to let people know how much money you have. You don't have to let people know how much crypto you have. That's dangerous for a variety of reasons. There's people out here that will come and do things to get that from you. So you owe nothing to strangers to tell them about your capital. I'm just saying Schwartz is different, but I'm saying be careful out there. I see people in comment sections say stuff like, I have this much crypto. I have this much gold. Be careful out there saying what you have. There's very little anonymity on the internet. Very little. Even with a VPN, be careful, right? But anyway, so Schwartz, known for his transparency and engagement with the community, addressed the speculation, debunking myths about his wealth. Once again, I don't know why anyone would care about his wealth, but okay. It says to back up his claims, Ripple CTO shared a screenshot of a tweet from 2021 in which he stated that he was not yet a billionaire, reaffirming his current stance. And then he says, they have a tweet here cropped. It says, still not. Despite his significant contributions to Ripple and the broader XRP ledger ecosystem, Schwartz's revelation highlights the reality that not all industry pioneers have amassed vast fortunes. I'm sure he's not hurting. But, not everyone's going to be a billionaire. They don't need to be a billionaire to live a good life. You don't. You don't need to be you want to be real about it. You don't need to be a millionaire to live a good life. You don't. I hope that people are not under that impression that money is everything. It's not. It's significant. It matters, but it's not everything. All right. And it depends on how you spend money, how you invest money. If you save money. Do you save more than you spend? Are you humble in your living? And then also, where do you live? Right. So that matters greatly. Living luxuriously in the United States is different than living luxuriously somewhere else at a much, much lower cost. Then on top of that, as far as what is the purpose of life to you, you have to ask that question. Is it just about having items? Because really more money, more problems. More money really just can buy you. Once you start paying off all those base bills and everything's paid off, really it's just you have the opportunity just to buy a bunch of extra items and stuff, which really don't matter, or is your life about love and people around you? Then also you have to be very careful because money can change. It changes everything around you, so then there's that, do you have people around that you can have good times with, spend good times with? If you're older or you become injured or sick, will they love you then? Will they help you, take care of you? Will you take care of them? Do you have these bonds? Are you making good moments? That matters. A lot of people, they concentrate on capital just too much. It's a fun game. It's fun to talk that way, but to actually be that way in reality, I think that a lot of individuals will find things to be very bleak if all you concentrate on is, well, how much money does this person have? No, you need love in your life. You need fun. You need hobbies to keep yourself busy. Once everything else gets boring, you need things to do, something to build. Not advice. I'm just saying. It says Schwartz was one of the original architects of the XRP ledger in 2011. 3 engineers who had previously written code for the Bitcoin blockchain, David Schwartz, Jed McCaleb, and Arthur Brito, began developing the XRP ledger to create a blockchain that was more suitable for hyper-efficient value movement with a focus on transaction speed and scalability. When the XRP ledger deployed shortly after, the code automatically generated 100 billion XRP, with the code base requiring that no new XRP be created. We know all of that. Let's see, there anything else here significant? It says with Ripple's current worth, XRP's market cap 28.4 billion. Ironically, at the time, Schwartz chose a salary and a 2% share in Ripple over the XRP cryptocurrency, which he helped create. Although he later highlighted that choosing a share in the company over XRP was probably a, quote, pretty big, unquote, mistake. Well, yeah, how could you know that? Sometimes when you make something, you don't know how good it is until it's out there. I'm telling you, I had a piece of art. I used to be heavy in moving art long time ago, long time ago, folks. And I had a piece of art that I made, and I knew it was good. I felt it was good, but it was more of a passion project. And when I put it up for sale, I had no idea how fast it was going to sell. This is a long time ago. I'm talking about maybe about 12 years ago, maybe 12, 13 years ago. And a few people out there, they loved it. They absolutely loved it. You never know how impactful something's going to be. There's no way he could have known how much of a juggernaut XRP might be. So but I always say this: never live in regret. You make your decision, walk that path, stand on it, and never look back. It is not going to help you. Don't cry over spilt milk. That's a little bit more harsh way to say it. But you walk strong in your decision. You're doing well. Live life. Be happy. Are you happy? If you're happy, you're doing well. That's it. That's the end of discussion. I don't care where you're at, whether you're a billionaire, a millionaire, or you just got a few thousand in your bank account. If you can say you're happy, with your situation, wherever you are, you have love in your life, whatever makes you happy, then you are successful. You are okay. You are good. You're one of the few. One of the few. You know how many people with millions are not happy at all? I'm talking about at all. You know how many people have fame and they're not happy? I've seen it firsthand. So that's all that matters. Are you happy in your life? You doing well? Are you healthy? You got your health? A lot of people don't have good health. That's what matters. So, look, shout out to David Schwartz. Shout out to all of you. I hope you're happy. You're doing well. And that if you're happy, you're doing well, then you're rich in that way. That's the real rich. Being content on earth is the most difficult thing that could ever be done, because there's chaos everywhere. That's the real being rich. That's the hardest thing to have. You can get money in a lot of different ways, whether good or bad, but happiness is difficult. Contentment, difficult. All right, folks, let's move on here. This article here is titled, I was playing between two thoughts, but we're going to go with this article here. This article here is titled, Bitcoin Ether recover as Hong Kong green light spot crypto ETFs. We've been covering this for about a month. We read last week that they said that they were going to green light, the ETFs on Monday. It looks like they kept their word. So that's interesting. They did what they said they were going to do. And here it is now. Probably why Bitcoin went up a little bit. I'm sure it probably went back down, but I'm not sure. I haven't checked the charts. But it says Hong Kong. But if it did have a little bit of pop, it's probably because of this. They're trying to get in on these lows while they can before Bitcoin goes nuclear at some point in the future and pulls it. And that's why a lot of other things are having good inflows. They're trying to get in low now before things go nuclear. Bitcoin will pull everything else up with it. It says Hong Kong gave in principle approvals to several spot Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs on Monday. Bitcoin and Ether prices have returned to green after a decline over the weekend. Okay, so I guess things are going better. It says Bitcoin and Ether prices rose on Monday afternoon in Asia as Hong Kong gave preliminary approval to local spot crypto exchange traded fund applications. The price of Bitcoin rose 2.8%. But once again, I'm still going to expect that volatility to be there. So if it went up, I would expect it to go back down again, and it'll just keep doing that for a little while. So the two largest cryptocurrencies and most other tokens recovered after certain geopolitical events. Bitcoin briefly fell below 62,000. Listen, there's been a lot of geopolitical events. I don't believe that it would negatively affect Bitcoin. I'm just not in that thought energy. Because Bitcoin, in my opinion, it moves a little bit like gold. Right now, there were a lot of negative catalysts. First of all, there was going to be massive selling before the halving anyway. That's one. Number two, there was a lot of statements put out by big companies about how they wanted to get into Bitcoin. So their friends would drive the price down and use anything else as a smokescreen to drive that price down so that they can get in at a lower price. That's number two. But when it comes to Bitcoin and gold, well, first of all, gold always benefits from geopolitical tension. It's unfortunate, but that's the way that it is. People protect their value and they can transact safely with gold when things are getting hot and heavy in the world. Bitcoin tends to be a little bit similar to that. Not all the time, not as often as gold, because gold is much more trusted, obviously. But I just don't think that's what would bring Bitcoin's price down. I think there's a lot of other catalysts, but people are directing their attention to that particular catalyst for a reason, right? Cause and effect. Like I said, I think a lot of things are smoke screens for certain financial activities, but I could be wrong. It says here, the price recovery came as the Hong Kong Securities and Futures Commission we read that part. They reiterate that. The Hong Kong institution's new ETFs will open spot investment channels for not only Bitcoin, but also Ether, which has not yet been approved in the US. Quote, HK ETF approval means Bitcoin and ETH are becoming mainstream assets that even your mother could buy from a bank, unquote, wrote Decentralized Gaming Ventures co-founder Joseph Young on X. This is a quote, this is a game changer, unquote. All right, so now let's move on here. So now I think it's already underway, but this article is titled, "Is Working from Home About to Spark a Financial Crisis?" It's already here. The financial crisis is already here. That's number one. Number two, the setup for banks to be crushed because, well, let's establish the connections that they're not saying in the title. One, people are working from home. So number two, the next piece to the puzzle is that they're not at the office. That leads to a lot of empty office space, hence commercial real estate problem and financial crisis on the way, right? It's really already underway. But yes, it's going to cause financial crisis. But let's read just this little tidbit here. It says, in Midtown Manhattan, reminders of commercial properties difficulties are everywhere. On the west side near Carnegie Hall stands 1740 Broadway, a 26-story building that Blackstone, an investment firm, we're very familiar with Blackstone, although people don't talk about them a lot anymore, do they? That's interesting. But anyway, it says an investment firm bought for $605 million in 2014, a very different time period, right? Only to default on its mortgage in 2022. That is alarming. Soaring above Grand Central Station is the iconic Helmsley building. Everybody's seen that before. Its mortgage was recently sent to, quote, special servicing, unquote. It may be restructured or its owner may simply default. As the sun sets, the underlying problems become clear. Working from home means fewer tenants. This is why you've had this rush to sort of bully the people back into the office. But I'm going to tell you what, I haven't seen people going back when I'm out and about. I see a lot of people. Number one, they're either working from home or they have businesses that they're running from home. One of the two. But one thing they're not doing, I haven't seen people going back. As a matter of fact, I've seen more people working from home. They're home more. I don't know how else to phrase that. So this problem is only increasing because what happens is, I think a lot of individuals, they hear from their family members, their friends who are working from home. They're telling them how good it is, the benefits of it. You can do what you want pretty much as long as you get the work done. And so now others are beginning to emulate that. They want to work from home. They're beginning to start their businesses or such, or even leaving jobs. That's another thing that people are not talking about is the rise in people with, either starting their businesses or they have what they call side hustles. They're doing multiples of these. Instead of starting a traditional business, they're just doing multiple of these side hustles. And then that cumulative money, they're willing to do that and bring in that cumulative money. And even though you still have to put in hard work when you have these so-called side hustles, it's better than being in the office, they feel, where supervisors and managers may give them a hard time. I think that's just logical. And so far, the banking industry and, the legacy system, for lack of a better word, has not found a way to remedy this. You can't bully these people into coming back. Then they've been settling on half the time you could be at the office and half the time you can be home. Some companies are doing that, which is still a loss for them. So that means that, yes, financial crisis is on the way 100% because they can't solve this. They can't solve this problem, which means banks are going to go down. In my humble opinion, I hope that was eloquent. It probably wasn't, but I do the best that I can, All right. So now let's move on here. We have just a few more articles. Now, this one here is an altcoin season article. So this article is titled, "Here's When Altcoins Will Bottom Out and Enter Next Hype Cycle." Of course, this is someone's opinion. There's no guarantees, although they make these titles like there's a guarantee. But it says, according to a crypto analyst. All right, so let's find out what they have to say about altcoins. It says here, a closely followed analyst is forecasting when altcoins can recover from their current downturn and enter into a hype cycle, quote unquote. All right, so wait, let's scroll down. Scroll down here. It says, according to Rect Capital, altcoins may bottom out in late May or early June before entering, quote, new hype cycle unquote, in July. Quote, altcoins are following the plan. Altcoins bottomed in early February. Altcoins sold off around BTC halving. It says altcoin to bottom early summer, unquote. It says, looking at Bitcoin, Rex says despite Bitcoin's correction from the highs, he is still of the viewpoint that the crypto king is in a bull market. I agree with that. I think there's bigger, explosions to come, but it's just my humble opinion, not financial advice. It says, according to the trader, Bitcoin will dip just low enough to sow doubt in the minds of bulls before reversing. I don't know why that would be. I disagree. The institutions love it. They're going to build that layer base of capital. They're going to continue to do that. And then they're going to drive those prices up. They want to make a profit. And let me tell you something. They don't take no for an answer, and they know how to win. One way or the other, whether they use good methods or bad, they are going to drive that price up. You think they got in to lose money? No. And they have the control over the media. Don't forget that. They have control over politicians as well as the media. And when they give the signal, all those regular people that listen to the regular media will bring their money to Bitcoin. They will go to the banks or whoever can provide them with Bitcoin now, who they quote unquote trust, even though they shouldn't. And they will hand that money over and it will skyrocket that price. In my humble opinion, that's a possibility. It's not a guarantee, of course. But because of that, I don't know how anybody's not bullish on Bitcoin and the top cryptos, which will also be lifted when Bitcoin takes off. Just my humble opinion. It says, quote, Bitcoin will retrace deep enough to convince you that the bull market is over. And then it will resume its uptrend, unquote. Yeah, that I could see happening. Yes, I could see the price going lower. Sure. That's still what, no matter how low it goes, that still wouldn't take it out of a bull market. I would just see that as them driving the price low enough for their other institutions, their friends and other institutions to get in even lower, or for them to sell and then buy in at a lower price. They're in the driver's seat right now. Unfortunately, retail is not. Retail is reactive. They're reacting. They're not in the driver's seat. They're not controlling where the car goes. It says, quote, Bitcoin is technically in the transitional period between the pre-halving retrace phase of its cycle and the reaccumulation phase, red. But this retracement is all about setting up the next phase, the reaccumulation phase. This recent rejection from $70,000 has given us a better idea of where the reaccumulation range high resistance is. Now it's all about figuring out where the reaccumulation range low will be. For now, well, let's scroll down. Wait. For now, the minus 18% pre-halving retrace has potentially marked the bottom of this reaccumulation range. All right, so now let's move on here. Oh, my word. Now we get to the banking information. Listen, this is one of the biggest reasons why we're probably going to dominate. We have been dominating the banking industry. It's unbelievable what's going on now. Put your ears to this. This article is titled, The 65-Year-Old Computer System at the Heart of American Business. 65 years old, and they can compete with us. Now you see why they're congealing with blockchain technologies. Oh, let's not forget, they will be congealing with AI as well. They need AI so bad. It's unbelievable. But I think I think AI is going to be more, I'll say damaging to them, because it's going to just strip them of everything that was the legacy system. Because with AI, you can't have, unless you're going to program it and weaken AI, you're not going to be able to have loose monetary policy. AI is going to say this is how things should go. So unless they're going to program it to, go along with the way things have been, I think it's going to be more disruptive even than blockchain. And they're trying to combine blockchain and AI together for secure information. We'll see how that works out. But this says this. The programming language known as COBOL, which stands for Common Business Oriented Language, turns 65 this year. We couldn't help noticing that's right around retirement age, but COBOL is nowhere near retirement. It remains a mainstay of IT operations at U.S. government agencies, businesses, and financial institutions. That's who can compete with us. They're in trouble. They're in big trouble. That lack of advancement is mind-blowing. It says, yet the programming language, which is older than the Beatles, is no longer taught at most universities. Glenn Fleischman is a freelance tech journalist who has written about this aging slab of digital infrastructure. Marketplace's Lily Jamali asked him whether our continuing reliance on COBOL is a problem. The following is an edited transcript of their conversation. It says, there was a point in the evolution of computers where they went from being devices that were barely interactive and the code was written at a very low level. You had to write instruction and test things. It was practically like wiring a machine. And then, as computers became more powerful, but also as the people involved in computing understood better what they wanted out of computers, they wanted to be able to write in a higher level language, so that when you looked at it, you could read the code and understand it. And it wasn't just a bunch of numbers or abstracted instructions. So COBOL was the human readable-ish programming language that allowed business logic, things that have to do with running your business or running the government, to be expressed in a way that someone else could also look at and understand and revise. It says, and you've written that 6 decades after creation, you'd expect COBOL to be, quote, the stuff of looping narrative videos and computer history museums, which makes it all more surprising that in real life, COBOL is still kind of everywhere. These are the systems that people trust. This is what financial systems are using, that the people are told to trust, right? No wonder with things like this, why they're getting hacked almost every day. There's data breaches almost every other day now. Just unbelievable. It says, Fleischman, I think in my naivete as a younger programmer or a younger technology focused person, I thought languages would die and that they'd be replaced with better alternatives. But it turns out no language ever dies, and some of them are so deeply embedded, they're never going away. COBOL's roots are so deep. It's the 100-foot tall tree that has 100 feet of roots underneath it. If you cut down the tree, all the roots are still there, and it can't just be pulled out by hand. I don't know if you should have said that to the public. You cut down, that was a dangerous statement right there. It's an incredibly complicated and unforgiving operation. Let's scroll down. I want to see if he goes into some of those negatives that she asked him about. It says, Jamali says, I mean, the extent to which this programming language is embedded in our lives is remarkable, and I've seen that an estimated 70% of business transactions involve COBOL. Giant government agencies use it. I know for me, I actually learned about it during the redacted, when there were all these state employment departments around the country that couldn't handle the surge in unemployment claims. And it turned out those systems were all running on COBOL. They couldn't handle anything because they were running on this old system. See? We're going to dominate them. The new financial system is so advanced. And most people will never know this information. Now you're a part of a privileged group. You know, they're using a language that's so old, they couldn't even handle a surge in unemployment claims. You're supposed to trust these individuals with capital. It says here, Fleischman, yeah, there's a contextualization for it. Is it bad that COBOL is running most of the world's economy or a big chunk of the world's economic transactions? The answer is probably no, because COBOL is a very straightforward language in many ways, and the way it is written is very straightforward if done well. So as long as you have organizations that are processing millions or trillions of transactions, then they need systems that are optimized for that. And that is very weirdly COBOL plus a mainframe. There are still people growing up learning COBOL. There are still companies employing people to work on COBOL. If you go to the Bank of New York Mellon, they still have lots of COBOL jobs open. There's no way to get an accurate count of how many companies are using COBOL. All right, so I just wanted to put that on your table, this how antiquated their systems are and how weak their systems are. Let's see if there's anything else here that's very powerful. All right, so we're going to leave that one at that, and let's close out here. We actually did all the articles today, and I still have to record the members only video, which I will put out either tonight or tomorrow morning. All right. Oh, it's a good one. Oh, yeah, it's a good one. I saved a good potent article for the members only section, right? Shout out to the members only section. They are the reason that these videos come out. A lot of this information here is requested from the members only section. They are the reason the channel is alive. Shout out to the members only section. All right. So this article is titled JP Morgan Chase to pay $250,000 for defaming former employee as regulator orders bank to eliminate series of allegations. This is the JP Morgan that at times talks so badly about crypto. How many times have they had to pay a fine or go to court in the last year? It's unbelievable what's been going on. But so anyway, this article begins as such. It says the Financial Industry Authority, FINRA, is ordering JP Morgan Chase to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in damages to a former employee who accused the bank of defamation. Former JP Morgan Securities financial advisor Michael C. Nolan says the trillion-dollar lender damaged his reputation in a Form U-5 filing to FINRA after he left the bank in 2022. FINRA requires member organizations to file a Form U-5 to explain why individuals left the firm. In its Form U-5, JP Morgan alleged that Nolan violated company policy and shared sensitive information with a client. Okay, is that true or not? This is, quote, registered representative is under internal review for allegedly sharing material non-public information with a client, failing to properly disclose his personal affiliation with an outside business interest prior to requesting information from firm sources regarding the outside interest, and violating the firm's policy prohibiting the use of unapproved electronic communication channels for business communications. Nolan, who worked at JP Morgan for 41 years, denies the allegations and lodged the dispute claim, citing FINRA Rule 1122, which prohibits financial institutions from filing misleading information regarding a registered advisor. After a year of arbitration, FINRA is rewarding. Oh, he won. Oh, so see, and that exposes them. If they're capable of lying on their former employee that worked for them for 41 years, this man broke his back, put his blood, sweat, and tears into that business, into that industry. If they're capable of lying on him, why would anyone believe them on anything else, especially crypto? But JP Morgan likes to talk a lot about crypto in a negative way many times. It says JP Morgan Chase is liable for and shall pay to the claimant the sum of $250,000 in compensatory damages. Yeah, so there you go. JP Morgan exposed again. Exposed again. Not personal. This is just business, but this is what the article says here. All right, so now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.